Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Isolated Insights. This week we start the book of Deuteronomy. And in basic, it's Moses' last dialogue to the people of Israel prior to his death. Now, it's interesting to point out that this was actually the first time Moses rebuked the people of Israel. And there is an important lesson within that there is a time and place for everything. You have to be able to do it in a time that people will listen, etc. But I want to leave that point and zoom in on a point which I feel is really applicable for this week, especially being that we are about approaching the 9th of Av. So in this week's portion, Moses recalls how the Jewish people cried when the 12 spies returned from scouting the land of Israel. They cried out of self-pity. Israel's not going to be an easy land to conquer. To build and settle in it will be even harder. Good Jewish complaints. Oh, the people are dying there. The fruit's too big. What are we going to do? Instead of embracing the challenge, they cried. Now, as ever, the Torah is talking about something that is part of human nature. So when things are tough, it's so much easier to wallow in our own self-pity than to embrace and overcome the challenge. Our sages tell us that the date the spies returned from Israel was the 9th of Av. God decreed that because the Jewish people cried on this date for no reason, in future times, on this date until today, he would give them a good reason to cry. And so on this date, both holy temples in Jerusalem was destroyed. The Jews were expelled from Spain, from France, from England, and many other tragedies befell the Jewish people. Now, at first glance, it may seem a bit harsh and even vindictive of God's part. You cried for no reason, so I'm going to give you something to cry about. And I want to share with you a point that I heard from my rabbi, and I feel it's quite important. If you're going to cry anyway, then better that you have a reason to do so. So in other words, it's better to cry from pain than from self-pity. Bear with me. So in Jewish thinking, crying is usually considered an important expression of emotion. If you cry to express pain, be it physical or emotional, that's healthy. If you cry in frustration at being unable to achieve what you want, that's also healthy. However, crying in self-pity at your hopeless situation in life, that can only be destructive. It undermines your resolve to face the challenges of this world. That's what we're here to do. We're here to face challenges to grow from them. So if you must cry, it's better that you have a good reason to do so. And that is what God was said to the generation of the spies. If you're going to cry anyway, I will give you a reason to do so that your crying will at least be productive. And the same is potentially true for us. If we cry for no reason, God may just give us reason to cry. When I returned from the trip to Poland this past year, a place where Jews had reason to cry for hundreds of years, this point was all the more so stood out to me. Having walked on the graves of over 600,000 Jews in Belzec, more in Treblinka, and perhaps even more in Auschwitz and Birkenau, it was a reminder for me today of just how good we have it. Surely we have nothing to cry about. Surely we should celebrate how good our lives are. And surely the Jews in the desert should have celebrated too. But they chose to cry instead, just as we often choose to cry. And that in itself is truly something to cry about. So as these days approach, I think it's important to think about and to cry over the past of what we had and what we lost, whether it was with the spiritual presence of God through the temples, whether it was the security of the and the power of the Jewish people, where we could have been had we not gone through these persecutions, where we could be today. It's important to realize that, but more importantly, it's important to realize that the challenges we're facing are here for us to grow from. We don't want to cry in self-pity, but rather we want to cry by recognition of the challenges we face and the hope that we don't want to cry again. We don't want to go through any more pain. We want to get this message of growth We wanna realize what we lost, that we can hope for it again in a better way. And please God, He should remove all the struggles, all the persecution from this world. And we should all have a Shabbat Shalom, a beautiful, beautiful Shabbat, beautiful week. And please God, we're told that when Mashiach comes, all the fast days are going to be annulled. But it also says that Tisha B'Av is going to be a Yom Tov. So please God, this year, this coming week, shall be a Yom Tov and a cause of celebration for us. Shabbat Shalom.